There is one film franchise that just keeps on giving. That would be Indiana Jones. Created by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. Yes, once again, we are taking a look at a couple of props from the second film in that franchise, The Temple of Doom. Hi, I'm Rob, and this is A Constantly Racing Mind. For almost 40 years, Indiana Jones has been in the pop culture zeitgeist, providing entertainment year after year. For me, it has been fun to collect the clothing that gives off that archaeologist adventurer look, giving my home that exotic feel with the various Indiana Jones props that I have collected. If you're new here, we cover the film genres of sci-fi, horror, action, adventure, prop culture, and all things geek. So if you want more entertaining videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be aware of all my uploads. For some people, The Temple of Doom, the sequel, or in actuality, the prequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark, as it does take place a year prior in 1935, is not their favorite. It's darker in tone, deals with ideologies not as familiar to Western culture, and it has a screaming or crying Kate Capshaw. Not sure what's up with Steven Spielberg and screaming females. As usual, Indy is in search of another treasure, but in this case it is a diamond. However, in order to get the diamond, he needs to turn over the urn of Emperor Narachi of the early 17th century to Lao Che, a gangster. Now, Narachi, as Lao Che mentions, is the founder of the Manchu dynasty. Now, Indy, dressed like a 1930s James Bond, finds himself poisoned, attacked, and saddled with a Hong Kong nightclub singer, Willie Scott. They and his sidekick of this film, the 11-year-old orphan by the name of Short Round, that's Mr. Round to you, is running from a local gangster, the aforementioned Lao Che. Now, escaping the nightclub, they make their way through town to the airport where Dan Aykroyd, with a British accent, provides them with a plane that is owned by Lao Che himself. Surviving a plane crash by rafting from a plane down the Himalayas and running the rapids until they come to the shores of the village of Maipur in India. Now, the village is a sad, dreary place. A grim mist hovers over in the air. Women are weeping. The elderly are mourning. It is here that Indy, Willie, and Short Round find out the true quest that they really are on. The children have been taken, and worst of all, the stones of great religious importance are also missing. This is where our trio learns of the great darkness that has arisen from Pankot Palace, where the new Maharaja rules. The village elder recounts the taking of the Shivalinga. Now, this is an abstract or an iconic representation of the Hindu deity Shiva. Now, Shiva is one of the principal deities of Hinduism. He is the supreme being within Shaivism, also known as the destroyer within the Trimurti, the Hindu trinity that includes Brahma and Vishnu. Shiva is one of the supreme beings who creates, protects, and transforms the universe. The lingam, or as the village elder calls it, the Shivalinga, is typically the primary murti, or devotional image, in Hindu temples dedicated to Shiva, also found in smaller shrines. Now, despite the shape, it's not what you think. It represents Shiva, or in this case, in the Temple of Doom, Shiva may actually reside within the linga. Now, Jones hypothesizing that the stone is one of the 5 Sankara Stones given by the gods to help humanity fight evil. Now, once Jones and company reach Pankot Palace, there Indy theorizes that the Thuggee Cult has risen once again. Now, however, according to Captain Bloomberg of the British Indian Army, the cult was put down in the 1800s by the British Army. Now, the Thuggee was an organized gang of professional robbers and murderers. The English word thug traces its roots to the Hindi thag, which means swindler or deceiver. As recorded by D.F. MacLeod, their history is murky, who traced it to some Muslim tribes formed from those who fled Delhi after murdering a physician. Now, another traced it to some great Muslim families who fled after the murdering of a favored slave of Akbar, the great Mughal emperor. These original Muslim thugs spread Thuggee amongst the Rajputs, the Hindus, the Lodhis, and the Arhirs. According to other traditions preserved by the thugs themselves, they were Kanjars, or descended from those who worked the camps in the Mughal Empire. Now, on the surface, Pankot Palace and the inhabitants, the 11-year-old Maharaja Zalim Singh, Prime Minister Chatar Lal, and the Maharaja's harem, attendants, and guests all seem to be pretty warm and friendly. However, beneath the surface, things are much darker and sinister. I mean literally, beneath the surface, like underground. Beneath is a vast cavern where the stolen children from the villages toil under the whip, mining for the remainder of the Sankara Stones. Now, for the movie, Lucasfilm took creative license with the Thuggee, the Sankara Stones, and to some degree, the cult of Kali. Now, the Temple of Doom mythology tells us that of 5 stones given to Sankara by the Hindu god Shiva on Mount Kalisa, along with the messages that he should go forth and battle evil with them. Now, the stones contain diamonds inside, which would glow when the stones were brought together as a way to recount the legend of Shiva emerging from the fiery pillar. Now, the diamonds could also give warmth and life, but the stones could also be used for fiery destruction for those who betrayed Shiva. Sankara used the stones to convert many in India to the worship of Shiva. However, after his death, the stones became lost, scattered by wars, and sold to mercenaries over hundreds of years. So by the 1930s, 2 of these Sankara stones sat buried beneath the palace of Pankot, while a second pair managed to fall into the possession of a Thuggee high priest's son by the name of Mola Ram. Now, Sankara may refer to Adi Shankara, the 8th century Indian philosopher and theologian credited with unifying and establishing the main currents of thought in Hinduism. Now, under the palace is a temple devoted to Kali Ma. The high priest Mola Ram wanted the last 2 stones, believing that Kali Ma would rule the world with the powers of the stones. Followers of Kali, the Hindu goddess, whose earliest appearance is that of a destroyer of evil forces. Now, over time, Kali has been worshipped by devotional movements and tantric sects as the Divine Mother, Mother of the Universe, Adi Shakti, or Adi Parashakti. Now, Kali's most common 4-armed iconographic image shows each hand carrying variously a kagda, a crescent-shaped sword, or a giant sickle, a trishul, which is a trident, or a severed head, and a bowl or a skull cup collected the bowl of that severed head. Now, 2 of these hands, usually the left, are holding a sword and a severed head. I know that this is a lot to take in, so I recommend the Great Courses Plus and their course, Great World Religions, Hinduism. Now, I've enjoyed learning from university professors on different subjects from religion, history, philosophy to science, and just personal development courses. I enjoy them so much I figured I would share my love of knowledge with you. My affiliate link is in the description, so I do get a little bit. I turned to Fanbuilt props for my Sankara stones and my Sanskrit cloth representing the representation of Sankara receiving the stones from Shiva. The stones are made of dark amber resin, and they look like real polished stones. I'll put a link to their Etsy shop in the description. The cloth is hand-painted replicas about 6 inches by 7 inches. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is still a fun movie. As one looks at Henry Jones Jr.'s career from boyhood, you find him innocent and naive about the world when he tries to claim the Cross of Coronado for a museum. Over the years, as he traveled the world serving in the Great War, and as he got older and more worldly, we find him at the beginning of this film trading an ancient relic for a diamond. Whereas in this film, he starts back on a spiritual journey that forces him to start looking at his life and the friends around him. Now, I like this movie. Like many, it's not my favorite, but I still enjoy watching it as Jones navigates a path of Eastern culture that most in the West are not so familiar with. At the end of Temple of Doom, after fighting with Mola Ram while hanging from a broken bridge, Indiana essentially repeats a spell of sorts, which causes the stone to heat up and start to burn. Tum Shiva ke Vishwas gate ho. Tum Shiva ke Vishwas gate ho, which is Hindi for, you are a betrayer of Shiva. Now, Jones catches the remaining stone, and instead of claiming it for himself, Jones decided that its home was back in Mayapur, and he returned it to Marhan, the village elder. So make sure you share your comments about this video, and let me know what you think. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, smack the thumbs down. Subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of all my latest videos. Now make sure you watch this video right over here for more fun. So thank you for watching. Stay safe.